Here's the terrifying reality. It's not just you. The average person now picks up their phone 96 times a day. If you're awake for 16 hours, that's once every 10 minutes. Every buzz, every notification, every endless scroll is a tiny hit of a chemical called dopamine. Your brain is being trained like a lab animal to choose the easy, cheap reward over the difficult, meaningful one. Don't take my word for it. Tristan Harris, a former design ethicist at Google, calls this a race to the bottom of the brainstem. He and other Silicon Valley insiders have openly admitted that these apps are designed to be addictive. And here's the cost that you have to pay every single day with your life. A study from the University of California found it takes over 23 minutes to get your focus back after just one digital distraction. 96 distractions a day doesn't just waste time. It makes deep, meaningful work almost impossible. This isn't an accident. It is a system, a dopamine trap that is programming your brain for a life of distraction and mediocrity. But what if you could break the code? I'll give you the tools to rewire your brain, escape this loop, and finally reclaim your focus. I don't know if you can hear the alarm. I for sure can. It's terrifying to look around and see how many people are just busy scrolling on their phones these days. You're at your gym, you're probably in a movie hall, in a shopping complex, maybe on a road somewhere. All you can see is just doom scrolling everywhere around you. I find it, it's, to say the least, it's not fascinating, it's beyond shock. Let's first understand what do I mean by dopamine and how it can be cheap and earned. Let's first understand the difference between cheap and earned dopamine. But before that, let me take you to my first question, which is what dopamine actually is. Many people confuse dopamine to be the pleasure chemical. It's not actually pleasure chemical, it is the reward chemical. It is a motivation chemical that drives you to seek rewards. And I will help you understand this with the help of an experiment that was conducted on rats. So how do we know for sure that dopamine is about motivation and not pleasure? The proof comes from a series of landmark experiments with rats that completely changed our understanding of the brain. In the first phase, scientists implanted tiny electrodes, some scientific devices, into the dopamine producing region of a rat's brain. This region is often called the reward circuit. So just understand that something was installed in the reward circuit of rats. They then set up a lever in the cage where the rats were kept. Every time the rat pressed the lever, it would trigger a tiny electrical stimulation, giving its brain a direct artificial hit of dopamine. So dopamine isn't when you are happy. No, when you're receiving something. No, dopamine is more about that happiness that you get, that kick that you get in anticipation that you're going to receive something now. So this is more in the moment of anticipation. The result was immediate and shocking. The rats became obsessed. They weren't just casual users. They became full-blown addicts. They would press the lever hundreds, sometimes thousands of times in an hour. They would ignore food, water, and even opportunities to mate. Their entire world, their entire existence, everything narrowed down to one single frantic action of pressing the lever to get more dopamine. This powerfully demonstrated that dopamine creates an overwhelming, almost uncontrollable drive or craving. But here's where it gets fascinating. The scientists then flipped the experiment. They took a new group of rats and chemically blocked the dopamine receptors. They essentially turned off the wanting system, okay? They closed it off to see what happens next. As you'd expect, these rats became the complete opposite. They were totally lethargic. They showed zero motivation. You could place their favorite treat right in front of them, just a few inches away, and they wouldn't even bother to get up and eat it. Their drive was completely gone. And this is the crucial part that changed everything. When the researchers took that same piece of food and placed it directly in the rat's mouth, the rat would happily chew and swallow it. It would even make the rat equivalent of yum faces, showing all the signs of genuine pleasure. Think about what that means. The rat still liked the food, but it no longer wanted it. There's a difference. You still like jalebi, but you don't want jalebi. That feeling of ordering for jalebi is missing. It had lost all motivation to seek it out. This experiment perfectly split the two ideas. Pleasure is the liking. Dopamine is the relentless wanting. It's not the reward itself. It's the engine that drives you to pursue it. That engine that pushes you into taking actions to do something that is rewarding for you. And it is this powerful engine of wanting that modern technology has learned to hijack so perfectly. Now let's understand what cheap and what earned dopamine exactly means. Cheap dopamine is low effort, instant, unpredictable rewards. This is the dopamine that weakens your focus. You're not working for it. You're just ordering the food and it's getting delivered to your door and you're just getting to pop it inside your mouth. That is junk food. Cheap dopamine. You didn't work for it. Social media feed. Okay, I don't need to even start with it. You know it already what I mean. Just this. And 2 hours gone. And we're like, we don't even remember what we were doing for the last 2 hours. We're like, what happened in the last 2 hours? Where did my time go? That is cheap dopamine. Earned dopamine, on the other hand, is high effort, it's delayed, it's meaningful rewards. This is the dopamine that builds discipline and satisfaction. And that is why social media may make your time fly. Junk food may make you happy momentarily, but there is no satisfaction, and of course there is no building of discipline whatsoever. None. You're not a better person after doing any of that. You can perceive earned dopamine with a few examples like completing a complex project or maybe working at your language skills and getting better at it with months going by, maybe getting a diploma at something, finishing a marathon. All of those are earned dopamine. You worked for it. It wasn't cheap. It was something that you sweat out for. Our modern world is a fire hose of cheap dopamine, making the earned path feel impossibly difficult by comparison. So suddenly, everything that maybe the millennial kids were experimenting a joy in, they feel impossible now. People don't want to slog themselves. People don't want to put in that extra effort because they are so habitual of receiving that kick without doing anything, without putting in effort. Everything is available around you. Now here's the conspiracy, how they hijacked your brain. This isn't an accident, of course, it's a design. This is called the slot machine effect. Slot machines are those poker machines people play with in a casino. You hit the lever and it displays something on the screen and you never know what the next display would be. So you keep pulling the lever. That is what a slot machine does. And this is exactly the principle, the psychological principle on which Instagram and TikTok, all these algorithms are built at. They have hijacked your brain. You're always looking for the next. You never know if the next scroll will deliver a great video. So you keep pulling the lever. Okay, this is what you keep doing. Have you noticed how when you scroll on a social media app, there is no ending point to it. There is no stopping point. It is endless. It is indefinite. And this is obviously purposeful. It is deliberate choice to keep you engaged indefinitely. Of course, there is social validation and FOMO, the world famous factor of why we do almost everything that we do these days. It's the FOMO. The likes and the comments and the streaks are quantified social approval. Your number of likes is something that drives you crazy these days. It's turning human connection into a game you're incentivized to keep playing. If you look at it with the perspective of a game, you'll understand this is actually a game that is designed to draw your attention, to draw your focus, to keep you hooked. The chains are such that you cannot move on to doing something else. You're so entangled in those wires. Notifications exploit a primal need to stay informed about a social standing. If I were you, I would switch off the notifications for almost everything. I mean, this is the only way I can maintain my sanity, and believe me, I do not have my notifications on. Now, here comes the true cost. These are the symptoms of a dopamine-fried brain. First is your cognitive cost, the death of deep work. Your attention span has shrunk like anything, and you know it. You know it. You can't focus long enough to learn hard skills, read complex books, or produce high value work anymore. It is becoming increasingly difficult. Tell me the last time you read a good book. Or you even did a small research of finding out what book to read next. These small tasks that of course involve your brain, and they involve you to sit silently in a place without connecting on a shallow level with others, that is virtual level, that is through social media. When was the last time you actually did an activity that involved your focus, that questioned you over maybe an hour of your life in a day? Next is of course your emotional cost. Anhedonia. You no more find joy in the little things that our parents used to find fantastic, like going out and having golgappas, or maybe calling up a friend and talking with them and finding out about their day, or maybe just sitting in a living room with your friends chit-chatting. Those normal pleasures are more or less disappearing these days because our brains are overstimulated with cheap hits of dopamine. Hobbies do not feel interesting anymore. We don't want to paint, we don't want to sketch. I don't see many people indulging in hobbies anymore, especially the kids. The conversations feel dull. The life has lost its color. Your dopamine baseline is so high that reality cannot compete. The reality will never be able to catch up. It will always feel boring. And here's the ultimate cost: the unfulfilled potential. The dopamine trap doesn't just waste your time, it slowly erodes your ambition, your ability to pursue your real goals. It's the silent killer of dreams. This is what being programmed for mediocrity truly means. When you cannot do the hard work, when you cannot do the hard task, you've lost that capability. You're no more intrigued by those things. You're no more intrigued by the reward that gets out of working for 4 or 5 years on achieving something. You're no more driven by that. Of course, you're programmed for a life of mediocrity. What else? Now, here's the escape plan. How to rewire your brain? Is it even possible? It of course is. Let's just call it dopamine detox, or maybe dopamine reset. You choose your name. Step number 1 is the audit. It is the awareness level, increasing your awareness about it, awareness about the problem that we are into. Use your screen time settings to get a baseline. You can't change what you don't measure, you know that. Every single day when you hit the bed in the night, just check your screen time for the day. People are so shockingly unaware of the time they are spending on their phones. If you ask them, like this is something that I actually saw right in front of my eyes. I questioned somebody, how much do you think your average screen time is during a day? This person ended up saying 2 to 3 hours. That's it. And we actually did check his phone. It came to about 8 hours. Yes, 8 hours. And he only thought he was using it for 2 hours in a day. And I'm talking about a 22-year-old, by the way. Step number 2 is the environment, the friction, things that you have to rub against every day. Make your bad habits harder. How do we do that? Turn your phone to grayscale. Okay, now there is a setting in the phone wherein you can convert your phone to grayscale and the colors will disappear. It will become dull. Delete infinite scroll apps, or at least move them off the home screen. I can tell you what I have done in my own case. My infinite scroll apps are lying on the 4th or the 5th page of my phone, so that they do not appear right in front of me every time I have to open my phone. Like, I've got a lot of work also going on my phone. I have to connect with people, I have to talk with them, I have to send reply on my WhatsApp groups, and it's all work related. But these doom scrolling apps, they are also there, of course, because of course I'm a content creator. I know it is ironic. See, what I create is highly educational. I take pride in the content that I create, and the quantity is also very balanced. I don't push out one video every day. I don't do that. Of course, I've got life, man. I've got a life. Apart from that, it's very important to be responsible for the kind of content you're consuming. And we are all aware the kind of content that comes to our feeds is atrocious, is the least I can say. I mean, people bubble wrapping their legs and their arms and dancing. I don't understand what's going on sometimes. I feel so shallow about myself. If I end up watching one of those videos, I'm like, what the hell? Why am I engaging with this content? I quickly correct myself. Believe me, I'm very watchful of what I'm consuming. This is the only way I can keep sane. I can still call myself a responsible, good person. Turn off all the non-essential notifications. This is extremely important. You don't need to reply to people instantly. I mean, unless it is a real emergency contact. Like in my case, I don't live with my parents. Their numbers are extremely important. If they send me a message, I have to reply to them ASAP. So these are a few phone numbers I'm extremely cautious about. But apart from that, I reply to some very important people maybe 4 days after receiving their message, which is wrong. But it is what it is in my case. I think I've done some over detox. But it's fine, as long as it's not impacting my life, I'm okay with it. Step number 3 is the replacement, resensitization, okay? Actively seek earned dopamine. How do you do that? 90 minutes, just block out your phone, put it on silent mode, keep it away, do not disturb, and you can obviously turn on your notifications for your important contacts like your mom, your dad, or people in your life, whoever is important to you. They can be added to that negative list, and DND will not work on them, and you will still get their calls, but rest of the phone calls will be blocked, rest of the notifications will be blocked. So you could do that and read your book for 90 minutes. I don't think you understand the importance of reading a book yet. It can change your life. I cannot express it harder than I am right now. It is one of the single most important habits that you can inculcate today in your life. You pick up any massively successful individual from this entire planet Earth and see how they read. Most of them are ferocious. They are voracious readers. They just cannot put down books. They are so much into reading. There must be something. This is one common habit of every billionaire on this planet. Don't take my word for it. Go do your research. If you will find out how many books Elon Musk reads every year, you'll be stunned. Schedule. Next thing to do is schedule a deep play. Engage in a challenging hobby that requires focus, maybe learning an instrument, maybe a sport, or building something. You could maybe take up crochet as a hobby. I love it. I love crocheting. I've made some sweaters. I've made some blankets. It keeps me sane. I have to rewire. These are the things that help me rewire my mind, because everything can be so overwhelming sometimes. And then it stresses you, and then you lose your sleep. You're not being able to focus, and suddenly you are losing your zest in life. And then you realize it's just nothing else, just stress. And this detox is going to help you de-stress yourself. Step number 4 is the practice. Embrace boredom. Go for a walk without headphones. Sit in a room and just think for 5 minutes. Could you do that? 5 minutes just thinking. We take thinking very seriously. Sometimes, somebody would enter my room and I'm not doing anything and I'm just staring at the wall like that. And of course, it's most of the times it is just this one guy, and he knows that she's thinking, and it's okay, don't disturb it. He would just ask me, okay, what are you thinking about? And I will tell him, it's okay, we don't make fun of each other for this. Oh, she stares at the walls. No, I'm thinking about my work. Maybe I'm thinking about what next to do, or my whatever system that I'm building to conquer whatever problem that I have on the face right now. Okay. Next is to meditate. So it's like your brain's muscles are sore right now and they need healing. Resetting your dopamine baseline is going to do that for you. Now, this isn't about becoming a perfect digital monk. No, it's about being intentional, choosing what you're doing rather than being pushed into whatever you're doing. And when you're sticking to your phone and just taking kicks and hits of dopamine, cheap dopamine, throughout the day, 100 times a day, somebody else is making those choices for you, because you are not. You are in a battle for your attention, you know that? And your attention determines the quality of your life. Stop letting algorithms write your story. A choice between a life of passive consumption and a life of active creation. This is the choice that lies ahead of you right now. Stop passively consuming anything and everything. Choose active creation. Create time for things that matter to you. Create your will to do things that give you earned dopamine and not cheap one. What's that one change you're going to make this week? Let me know in the comments below. Let's hold each other accountable. Can we do that for each other? If this video resonated with you, subscribe for more videos on how to master your mind and build a life you're proud of. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.